Do not. Hey there, boys and girls. Every time we learn about war, we talk about how the US, or how Britain, and France, and Germany, Italy, Japan, all did this amazing shit. Today, I'd talk about a British, a New Zealander, who fought in Britain, who flew one of the best bombers in the game. He flew one of these. The person I'm talking about is one of the few New Zealand Victoria Cross recipients. So I thought today I'd talk a bit about James Alan Ward, how he got his Victoria's Cross, the aircraft involved, and what came of him after, well, during World War II. James Alan Ward was born on the 14th of June 1999 in Wanganui, New Zealand. And for those of you who don't know, Wanganui is in the North Island of New Zealand. Just loading up this thing. He was born in Wanganui and attended Wanganui Technical College, when he trained as a teacher at the Wellington Board of Education in 1938, until enlisting in the Royal New Zealand Air Force, RNZAF, on the 2nd of July 1914, where he trained as a pilot at Terry and Wigram. I know Terry's in the North Island, whilst Wigram is in the South Island. It's actually in Christchurch. The base is now deactivated and is the Royal New Zealand Air Force Museum. He also trained alongside Fraser Barron, who went on to become a renowned bomber pilot. Both Barron and Ward would sail well in the Orangi, and would become stationed on January 1941 and would be stationed at Lossiemouth in Scotland. That's nice, you're probably thinking, but what does this have to do with making a man? Ward was 22 at the time of his receptionist of the Victoria's Cross. He was the co-pilot of a Vickers Wellington bomber that had been flying out of the RAF base in Norfolk in the United Kingdom. Norfolk. He was also attached to 75 Squadron, which was the Royal New Zealand Expeditionary Force in Britain. On the 7th of July, he was part of the attack on Munster and the Wellington, AAR, in which he was the second bomber and second pilot to be attacked by the Bf-110 night fighter. This attack had damaged the fuel tank on board the Wellington and caused it to open fire on the rear of the starboard engine. He was told by the skipper to get that fire out. How Ward did it is he crawled out whilst this bomber was in flight of the narrow astrodome, I think it was the side there, where the gun is. where the dinghy would have been kept. Well, actually, he had taken the emergency's dinghy for an engine cover. He kicked, or tore holes in the wing, to reach to where the fire was. He did successfully, after 2 failed attempts, smother the fire, but fuel continued to leak. When he returned, the aircraft was forced to make a landing, even though they didn't bail out, at Newmarket in the United Kingdom. He received his Victoria's Cross from Winston Churchill himself. And this is a conversation that is from his Wikipedia page, which is what I've been reading. So, "You must feel very humble and awkward in my presence," Winston Churchill said. "Yes, sir," managed Ward. "Then you can imagine how humble and awkward I feel in yours," said Churchill. And he was also, got this while Churchill was on board HMS Prince of Wales. So, some stuff about the King. It's a recommendation for it. Unfortunately, Ward would not survive the Second World War. Unfortunately for Ward, on the 15th of September 1941, his bomb flak over Hamburg and crashed. Ward was at the controls. It was his 11th sortie and his fifth time being the captain of the crew. Ward was buried in the Commonwealth War Grave and Cemetery in the small suburb of Ohlsdorf in Hamburg, Germany. So, why do we need to talk about... Oh, and on 14th of May 2011, the community centre at RAFT Fatwell was given to Ward as honour. So why am I talking about Royal New Zealand Air Force pilot Alan Ward? Well, it's to go down with one of the many things. He was a Victoria's Cross recipient. And one of the very few in New Zealand that would receive one. Ward was a very shy individual. And because of this, didn't often like getting much done. The Wellington bomber in real life was a very sturdy individual and was very, very well built. Unfortunately for Ward, his end would be, unfortunately, very short. So, I thought I'd play a bit of the Wellington. Just before I did this, I thought I'd talk a bit about what I know about the Wellington. And about New Zealanders during the Second World War. And a few things I'd like to talk about. James Alan Ward was a brilliant man, and one of the things I was quite surprised is for the Wellingtons, but as far as I know, I've only got one. He never had... There isn't any skin mentioned to him. Oh, someone shut down someone. That's not good. There isn't any skin referencing his bomber, which I won't be. Yeah, as far as I know, there aren't any skins for the Wellington, the Vickers Wellington here. And I mean, there are a couple of New Zealand skins. There's the Gloria Lions and the Wairarapa Wildcat for the P40E. But that's just about it. There aren't any other RNZAF skins, and that's kind of weird. I mean, the New Zealand operated F4U Corsairs, they operated TBF torpedo bombers, and the later versions of the the Avenger torpedo bombers, TGMs, the General Motor version. They operated Supermarine Spitfires, P-51s, Wellingtons, Sunderlands. I mean, it's kind of weird that none of these ever were used. Like, no others are there. I also thought we flew Hawker Hurricanes, to be honest. Which wouldn't surprise me. And the fact that there is a lack of Royal New Zealand Air Force skins is, it's kind of weird. We also flew PBYs and Sunderlands, if I didn't mention that. I think we also flew captured Zeros. But we never captured any Zeros as a Heinkel HE-111. But nevertheless, not much I can... Well, I mean, people could create created skins. That'd be 20 for the Wellington, Sunderland, and all the other aircraft I've mentioned before. I mean, I'd quite like to see a A6M0 in Royal New Zealand Air Force colours, or a MiG-15. Oh, that would be amusing as all hell. Typhoon, Duncan, Mark II, yeah. But other things is like, I'm not even Englishing. Like, what about tanks and stuff? I know what you're thinking. Well, see, here's the thing. New Zealand operated the Valentine, the M41 Walker Bulldog, the Centurion Mark III, the and the M4. But that was about it. For tanks or armored vehicles like tanks. The M41 replaced the Valentine after World War II, and the M3 Sherman, well, the Centurion, replaced the M4 Sherman was phased out in favour for the nah, crap. That is a BF-109. Oh, I did hit him though. But yeah, no, the Wellington here in War Thunder doesn't really hold up to much of its real-life counterpart. What else is attacking me? Brenda. Hopefully I'll be able to make it back to base.
Engaging the enemy.
Because the Wellington was very rugged. It was one of the very few bombers that could actually take a punch quite well. Well, yep, we destroyed the base with our 4,000 pound bomb. Now we just need to... Can't stand the Italian planes, it's fair enough, I mean. Well, they're not all bad, it's just the fact that they've got a valid reason to be overpowered. Because Italy made a deal with the flying spaghetti monster. I just thought Well, I'm kind of doing a bit of a clickbait when you think about it. I'm talking about James Alan Ward, and a lot of people are like, who the flip is James Alan Ward? Well, hopefully they pay attention to the first part of this video. He was a New Zealand bomber race. I should be worried. But there were other RNZAS. AS. Ignore the crowing in the background. It's just my rooster thinking, hey, everybody needs to be up. It's time to party. It isn't. Oh, jeez. Yeah, me. I'm surprised they haven't actually tried to come after me. Have we lost all of our bobbers? Yes. Oh no, we've still got a Sunderland. Better make sure we don't crash. That would suck. Sunderland. But yeah, no, New Zealand also did operate the short Stirlings, but they were when they were in England, and only in England. When the Royal New Zealand Air Force was in England at the time. And, you know, nothing wrong with the short Stirling. I mean, it did have a quite good bomb load. I think everybody likes the Lancaster, like when that thing. I can remember watching back before they added in the Lancaster with the 50 caliber. Into the game. A lot of people are like, oh, yes! 50 cal! That's bullcrap. Literally 3 seen above the... Yeah. I've actually... Oh! Ka-thunk. It was a Jingles landing. Aw. Rip. I wasn't dead though. Oh well. Not much I can do there. So yeah, thank you for watching this video. I do hope you enjoyed it. Really not much more I can say about Sir James Alan Ward. Be sure to hit that like button if you want to see more, videos involving New Zealand aces, or ships, or tanks, or whatever. And I'll be sure to talk about them. I don't represent you in a very good night.